Hello YouTube, my name is Roxast and today I'm going to be showing you how to use AngelBot 2 for the first time. So immediately you'll notice that we have the AngelBot program running already, which is the first thing you want to do, obviously. You'll notice that it shows you your player name, how much health and mana you have, your target and how much health it has, as long as some other information like how long the bot's been running for, how many kills and deaths it has, how much gold and XP it's made, how full the inventory is, and then the bot also calculates for you, quite cleverly, how much XP per hour you're getting, and how long it will take you to level up once. Also, there's a whole lot of other information that you can play around with here, like waypoints and ignore NPC, but we'll come on to this a bit later. This video will be detailing how to set up the main settings menu of AngelBot 2. So to access this menu, as you can see here, you just go to File and Settings, and this window here pops up. So there are 4 tabs in the settings menu: Limits, Character, Buffs, and Key Binding. The first tab, Limits. This is the major area for where you can control when your character does certain things. So, for example, resting HP and resting mana. This says what percentage of your character's health and mana would you like it to rest at. Generally, this tends to depend on what class you're playing with. A Templar or Gladiator have a lot of health and don't rest as often, so you want to put the resting HP a bit lower, maybe at 60%. However, weaker classes like Sorcerers and Spirit Masters, they have a lot less health, and so they need to rest more often. In this case, I recommend setting the resting HP higher. Potion HP and Potion Mana. What this does is, when you have potions in game and you put them to a certain position on your quick bars, you're going to want to use them naturally. However, the bot can do this for you. So what you do is you just leave it on your quick bar and you specify here what percentage of your health or mana you want the bot to use the potion at. It's fairly simple. So if, for example, you want to use a potion at 40% HP, put 40 in there, as you can see already, and as soon as your character reaches 40% HP, it'll use the potion specified later on in the key binding section. The next feature is Ignore Level. This is a really useful tool. What Ignore Level does is it'll ignore mobs that are the level you specify or under. In this case, I've set it to 1. This can be useful for the gathering feature as well, and if you're level 1, it won't attack any mobs in any level 1 area, so your bot can carry on going around the entire place, gathering as much as you like without needing to fight anything. The next feature is extremely useful, and also it's very powerful. Ignore time is part of this feature. Occasionally what will happen is the bot will target a certain opponent or mob. It'll run towards it, however unfortunately there might be a tree, a rock, or some other obstacle in the way. When this happens, your character will become stuck on it. Now, what will happen then is when the anti-stuck system kicks in, the bot will realize what's happening and it will ignore that specific mob's ID. So all the other mobs, let's say you have 10 lions in one place, it'll ignore that one lion alone, so that your bot can then move out of the stuck situation and carry on killing the other lions. This ignore time is how long the bot will ignore that one specific lion for. So at the moment it's set to 5 minutes, however you can increase or decrease this depending on your own situation. Out of combat heal. Out of combat heal is useful for items like herb treatment or mana treatment, which all classes have. What this is that, much like resting HP, when your character is out of combat, i.e. it's not fighting anything, if it is a certain percentage of HP, it will use a certain skill. Mostly people use this for herb treatment. However, there is quite an advanced trick. If healer classes have a lot of heal skills, as you can imagine, what you can do is later on, as you see in the key binding section, you can set a key for the out of combat heal. Rather than set this to a specific item using ability, like herb treatment, you can set this to a healing spell. What will happen then is as soon as your character comes out of combat, it will automatically use a healing spell, taking it to max HP for the next level, for the next fight, and therefore a lot less downtime, which means more leveling for your bot. Bot shut off. What this is that if you're worried about your bot running for too long, what you can do is you can specify it to run for a certain amount of time, in minutes. So let's say I want my bot to run for 1 hour only and then stop after that. What I do is I put 60 in the bot shut off here, and then I press OK save, and after 1 hour of running, the bot will immediately shut itself off, and then your account can be much safer like that. However, obviously don't leave it for too short periods of time, otherwise your bot won't really get anything done. Death rest timer. This is a feature that you want to keep more or less the same unless you're feeling very confident. When your bot dies, when it resurrects at your obelisk or bounded location, it has 60 seconds of soul healing time in which your bot can't really move very fast. And what this is that it'll rest for 60 seconds automatically after death in order to wait out the soul sickness and then it'll immediately get up and run the death waypoints back to where you are hunting before. We'll cover waypoints in another section. Now, the next section is character. This is all about your character and the kind of things you do as a class. So healers are going to want to take the enable healing box. This allows them to use healing spells. We'll come on later to this in the skill section. Range classes are going to want to take the range skill. This is for classes like sorcerer and for rangers. Range before pre-attack. So you'll see this again later on in the skill section, but your character will have a certain pre-attack setting. You can specify a certain range before your character uses the pre-attacks. This can be useful if you are setting up custom waypoints and you want to make sure they're as precise as you want them to be. Enable anti-stock for combat. As I mentioned before, anti-stock is a really good system which AngelBot hosts, which allows your character to move out of stuck situations unlike other bots and prevent your account from being banned. You're going to want to keep that tick definitely. Full inventory check. This is tied to the vendor sell system, which we'll come on to later. However, its initial intent was to stop crashes after your inventory becomes full. What happens is if it automatically checks your character's inventory, and if it is full, when you loot a mob after it died, it'll automatically loot all the gold that it has, as well as things that you can stack, like mana stones. However, anything else that you can't fit into your bags, it will leave those as they are and then carry on. This allows the bot to carry on even after your bags have been full for a long while. However, I do recommend that you keep your bags as big as possible so that you cannot miss out on any good loot and therefore a lot of money. Next up is use Kisk or self-res. Occasionally what happens is you're going to set up waypoints, you're going to set up a hunting location very far away from any nearby village. In this case, what you could do is you could buy a Kisk from a vendor and set it up near your hunting location. If that happens, if you die, you can automatically resurrect at the Kisk rather than the village, which is quite far away. If you're doing so, you want to take use Kisk self-res, and the bot will automatically resurrect you at the Kisk rather than your bound village. Kill steal group. When this happens, let's say your bot is running in a situation where there's other players around also grinding the same mobs. If you tick this box, the bot will attack the mobs of other people. So if someone else is fighting a lion, let's say, your bot will try to fight the same lion. Normally I wouldn't recommend this, as other people would see you attacking their mobs and possibly tell you to stop doing it. When you don't respond, if you're AFK botting, they might report you and this can lead to your account being banned. So I don't recommend taking this. However, it's completely up to you. Loot delay. Loot delay is a small little millisecond timer for different people with different pings for the time it takes for your character to kill the mob and loot it. I wouldn't recommend changing this, as default is normally completely fine. Logging and transparency. These two are features, again, you want to keep the same. Logging is basically, it just keeps a log of everything your character does, and it's useful in the future in case you have any problems with the bot. You can easily diagnose what the problem is, if your character got stuck, or anything like that. Now, defend on death waypoint. It's pretty much optional to defend yourself and kill mobs along your death waypoint path. So if you die and you're running back to your hunting location, then you can defend yourself from anything that attacks you there. However, occasionally your hunting location is far away from a village where you're bound to, and the mobs along the way are very high level. In this case, you're not going to want to fight them, and you should untick this so that even if they do attack your character, you'll run away and hopefully survive. Gathering. Gathering is a feature we'll come on to in another video, but essentially the bot allows you to gather minerals and other such items from around the Aeon world, as I'm sure you've seen in-game, and if you want to do that, you just tick this box here. However, I recommend you watch the gathering video, which will be coming up shortly, in order to fully understand the gathering system.